Hi, so I would like to share something that I went through in 2014 with everyone because I think a lot of people would be able to benefit from this story. And a lot of people can probably relate somehow or some way. So if you can picture it, I was 19 years old, 2014, so 6 years ago, and I was working at Dunkin' Donuts. I had dropped out of high school a few years earlier, but I did get my GED in 2012, so at least I had that. But I really didn't have my head screwed on straight. I was just working and kind of surviving and having fun with my friends, what I thought were my friends at the time. Um, and I had a boyfriend, David, and we had a two-bedroom apartment together in Lewiston. And things were going fine with him. Things were okay, but I was very shocked to find out that I was pregnant. I was actually 11 weeks pregnant when I found out. I was really sick all the time, so I went to the doctors and found out that I was 11 weeks pregnant. And if you don't know, full term is 40 weeks, so I was already pretty far in. Without knowing it already. So when I found out, I was really nervous and scared and shocked. But I decided I needed to start making some changes. So I was working at Dunkin' Donuts. I picked up a second job at a call center, and I started taking classes because I had gotten pregnant in the summer of 2013. So I started taking classes that fall after the summertime, just to get some education under my belt, and just trying to go in the right direction for my new baby because I was now pregnant and going to become a mom. So yeah, I was going to college, taking a few general classes, and I was pretty excited, and so was my boyfriend David. We were really excited to have a baby. This was my first, and but it wasn't his first, so it was a second. So he kind of knew what more to expect, but I really had no idea what to expect. So I was due in February of 2014, February 19th. I was due. Um, and what happened was in January, um, it was actually January 18th. Um, I had spent a long day at work and at school, and I took a warm bath that night at about 9 o'clock, and went to bed. And then I woke up at about a little bit after 11, and I was soaked, and I had peed the bed. And I was so embarrassed. I didn't know what had happened. I didn't know what had happened. So I got up, was ashamed of myself, and started changing the sheets and fixing the bed, washing it down. And then I peed again. I peed all over myself, and I was like, what is going on? So I decided I needed to call my doctor, even though it was really late. I called my doctor, and she said, oh yeah, your water broke, so you're gonna need to come in. So David and we called a close friend because neither one of us drove at the time. I was walking everywhere. um, and we went to the hospital, and when I got there, I was informed that I would not be leaving the hospital without a baby. So I was going to become a mom, and that was a huge step for me, and it became very realistic very quickly. I hadn't packed anything. I wasn't prepared. I had spent all this time worrying and thinking that this was going to happen February 19th and wanting to have everything ready for then, that I was totally caught off guard when this happened to me in the middle of the night, and I had no idea that this was something that could happen to anyone. I didn't know this was something that happened. um, so I was in the hospital, and they informed me that I was going to be giving birth. And this also I hadn't thought a lot about, the actual birth process. This was probably going to hurt a lot, and I hadn't really spent a lot of time thinking about that or how it would happen, and how we would go about doing it. Um, so after all night of being there in the hospital, and half of the next day, the doctors told me that my cervix wasn't dilating. So where the baby would come down and out, I wasn't dilating. I wasn't opening up. So I was basically still, the baby was stuck in there and not coming out, but ready to come out. So they suggested that we do a C-section, a cesarean section. And I said, at that point, I was like, yep, go for it, like all for it. So that was at 7 o'clock the next night. So here we are, January 19th. And 7 o'clock the next night, David was with me. We went into the the operating room, and they had to do a cesarean section, which is they had to, cut open my abdomen and take the baby out that way, which is a major surgery. So that was quite an event in itself. It took a lot of time to recover from that, about a month before I felt somewhat normal again, because they cut all your muscles and everything in there. So it's a major surgery to recover from. But everything went well, and he came out early. He was a beautiful baby boy, and he's 6 years old now, and he's who made me a mom. And I wish I could say that I've been a perfect mom and I've done everything right over this past 6 years, almost 7. But that's not the case. I've made a lot of mistakes. I knew that I had to grow up quickly, but I still had a lot of growing up to do. If that makes sense. When I had him, I still had a lot of growing up to do. I was still 19, and so yeah, I had a lot of growing up to do, and so didn't he. He was just a baby, and we did that together. I feel like we spent his early years growing up together, and like I said, I did make some mistakes, but we all grow from them. And what I want to say as like a takeaway message from this is that I worried so much when I was pregnant with him. I worried the entire 8 months. It's supposed to be 9 months, but it was only 8 months because I had him early. But I spent all that time worrying. I wanted to paint his room at one time because I thought that the colors would have a big impact on him as a baby, and how he felt and stuff. And looking back, those things I worried about things that I shouldn't have worried about. Everything works out in the end. I was really worried when I was pregnant because my mother and I weren't getting along. She didn't really approve of the whole situation, and she fell in love at first sight when she saw Omari, the baby. So things work out, and try not to worry, because worrying gets you nowhere. It just stresses you out, and it's something that I try to work on too. So if you can relate to this message in any way, I would just ask that you can take away that you can you don't have to worry about things. Just don't worry, try to relax, and everything will work out one way or another. Thanks.